All right, welcome to WP Radio. I just wanted to let everybody know this is a recorded segment from WP Radio Live at the OIAA Claims Conference in January 2019. I hope you enjoy all the different little elevator pitches from all the companies. So sit back, relax, and enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. It's Terry Doherty. We're live at WP Radio here, and we're at the Metro Convention Center for the 2019 Claims Conference. And I have Skip McHardy from CRU Group.
Correct, yeah. CRU is CRU.
Yeah.
The acronym is Catastrophe Response Unit.
Excellent. So that being right in your name, I'm assuming you guys handle cat claims.
Yeah, that's the foundation of the company. The company was started a little more than 10 years ago by a father-son team, Gary and Kyle Winston. And where we got our footing was in response to the 2010 hailstorm in Calgary. And there was a particular carrier that was needing a lot of adjusters. And the independent or the cat adjusting model in the States is quite different than it is in Canada. In Canada, when there's a catastrophe, the IA firms shift their permanent adjusters into those markets, but they still have a pending, they're still carrying on their daily work. They go in and help out and then go back home. In the States, you have true independent contractors that respond to a catastrophe. They're solely dedicated to wherever you bring them and whatever that deployment is all about. So we did that in 2010, and it was wildly successful for that carrier. That's where we got our footing. It is, when we started the company, myself and there are a couple others that came from the States and knew the model and were very familiar with the model. That's what got us off the ground, and it's been great growth. We're really successful the last 10 years, and through that we've expanded. About 5 years ago, our company bought Maltman's International. I don't know if you're familiar with that company, but Fred Maltman was actually one of the founders of OIAA. He was the first president of the organization. And that particular division of our company, they do the Lloyd's Syndicate, high-end work, complex claims, municipalities, those kind of things.
So the founders of the company, were they from the West Coast?
No, they're actually from Toronto.
They are, right?
Yeah, and they've been in the business many years. Gary Winston is kind of an icon in the business. Spent many years with Crawford. Has worked with Claims Pro and Patty Kernahan and the real well-established companies. Gary's had 20 and 30-year relationships with those people. So.
Yeah, it's just interesting that their first claim was a cat claim out west, right? So, but you can't tell where your claims are going to come from, but I was just wondering if they'd reestablished themselves in the West Coast at that time.
Well, when I say that was our first real cat deployment in Canada was in Calgary. We do multiple cats every year, and we're a North American company. We do as much or more business in the United States as we do in Canada. So we're on both sides of the border, and it gives us a tremendous advantage because we're able to shift resources where needed for particular events.
So where are you guys located here in we'll talk about Canada and then we could talk about the U.S., but where are you located in Canada? Do you have multiple offices?
Yes, we do. Two offices. Home office is right here in Toronto.
Okay.
And we have an office in Calgary.
Okay, so
Calgary,
right in.
because that's kind of where most events happen.
Yeah.
And so those are the only two. Our model is a bit different. We're just now starting our daily claims business, but we don't invest in the brick and mortar. We're not looking to have an office in every city. Our model is about responding, is about shifting and bringing you what you need when you need it.
And it's strictly adjusting, right?
Correct.
So you're not bringing in contractors, you're not doing any of that, you're just bringing in professional adjusters.
We're the alternative to contractors. Again, the U.S. model being quite different than the Canadian model. A U.S. catastrophe adjuster has to be able to climb a roof, identify damage, and write an estimate in either Xactimate or Symbility, where Canadian adjusters are actually much better educated in a much broader sense, but because of that, there aren't a lot of Canadian adjusters that have the skill set to write Xactimate or Symbility.
Well, it's funny because when I first started in the property side of things, many, many years ago, they sent me to the U.S. to Vail.
Yeah.
To go to Vail
Tech,
Technical. Because
absolutely.
I needed to know how to write an estimate and get on a roof. So I spent almost 8 weeks down there learning how to write estimates, how to report a roof, spec a roof, how many shingles I needed per square. And I mean, things have changed, but I remember those days where I had to go in and actually write an estimate for damages.
Well, they haven't changed that much. We still do that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But not here in Canada.
Yeah.
Because when I say to an adjuster, let's go over the Xactimate report, some of them seem dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Right?
No, and again, it's much more difficult to be a licensed adjuster in Canada because you do have to have a good knowledge of a lot of the insurance disciplines. To be a licensed adjuster in the United States, you can become a licensed property adjuster or a licensed auto adjuster. You don't have to have all the knowledge about workman's comp or life insurance and fidelity or
very
builder's
specialized.
risk. Yeah, absolutely. And so a property adjuster in the United States is a job that truly appeals more to people that have a contracting background.
Yeah.
But
most of the people in my course, in my class, and there was 40 of us, 39 were from the U.S., I'll have you know, from all over. And one Canadian, that was me. But they were, a lot of them came from the contracting world.
Yeah.
There was very few true adjusters. Those were ones that were company adjusters in the U.S., and I won't say their names. But they were just because it doesn't matter. But there was very few of that. It was more guys that were roofers or roughers, as they kept saying down there. And those were the guys that were getting their property license, and they were siloed. So they didn't know auto. Whereas, I'd come from the auto world. I was learning property. Then I went to casualty and learned some AB along the way. So, I mean, you're right. It's a totally different mindset.
Absolutely. Think of it this way, too. A CAT adjuster does not have to know how to identify the cause of loss. Step number one, what was the cause of loss? Now, obviously in basement flooding, you've got to be able to discern, seepage versus sump failure versus, overland flooding, that kind of thing. But that's not determining cause of loss 9 times out of 10 is pointing up to the man upstairs.
Yeah, so you're talking a hurricane.
Yeah, so
you're in the path of the hurricane.
Is different. It's more about speed. Accuracy and speed, and reaching out to that high volume of claims as fast as you can, making those clients feel comfortable. That they are going to be taken care of and treated fairly.
So your group at CRU, you guys do both the adjusting side and provide the technical know-how as far as estimates for damage reports.
Yeah, our company has a couple of divisions. I oversee the catastrophe response division across both Canada and the U.S. So I've got CAT managers in different places. That, again, was the foundation of our company for CRU, and that's where we got started. About 3 or 4 years in, we recognized, and unfortunately still, the decreasing knowledge in our industry, that fewer and fewer people were really prepared to understand damage recognition, to understand policy language, to understand the correct handling of contents and ALE and those kind of things. So we actually started another division of our company that's extremely successful, and it's called AIA, and that's the Academy for Insurance Adjusting. So through about 5 different locations, Vail Tech is still the gold standard.
Yeah.
Just want to let you know.
You
went to the right one.
But I got sent to the one in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go to the nice one
down
south. I'll have you know, I was in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
But we do a lot of teaching. In fact, probably 3 out of 4 weeks of each month, we've got classes going on somewhere, either in our facilities in Florida or facilities in Dallas or Calgary and sometimes here. But ours are more 2-3 day things. We teach Xactimate, we teach damage recognition, Symbility, we teach, we're real excited now because one of the gentlemen who heads our environmental division is now certified to be a HAZWOPER trainer, and that's an extremely important designation in environmental claims handling. So that division of our company is growing real well. So we have the AIA division, and then the Maltmans division, which was the, handling the Lloyd's Syndicate. And from the Maltmans, and because of the CAT response, we have now rolled out claims services, which is more of the daily model that the majority of the people here as independent adjusters do, because most of these people don't get assigned to CAT work. They're working their market doing, claims, through their firm for 5 different insurance companies. So we're now getting into that as our expertise grows and as our roster continues to grow. So it's a bit multifaceted, but it's still the catastrophe business is what drives the bus.
Oh, wow. Okay. And the CAT stuff, I mean, it always intrigues me. So did you guys do Fort McMurray too then? I'm sure you were involved in that in some...
To the tune of about 400 adjusters.
Wow. And
but that's through, 7 different insurance companies.
Wow. So you literally handled, I'm sure, thousands of claims then.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
Wow.
And it's Fort McMurray. I to this day, I'm obviously with my accent originally from the States.
Yeah.
Proud to be a card-carrying permanent resident of Canada. Been
Nice.
here for 10 years. But I lived in Calgary, and I've always said that the 2013 flood was a real wake-up for insurance for this entire industry. And then we follow that with the Fort Mac fire, but that was an interesting and challenging time because of the circumstances. People forget, for the most part we had 30 days to prepare. Nobody was allowed in.
Yeah,
for
there was a
30
lot
days.
of prep and staging because I remember
Right.
people saying, "Hey, I'm going to Fort Mac at the end of the month," and I'm like, "Yeah, but the fire happened 10 days ago." And he said, "Yeah, well, we're not getting in for, nobody was getting in, nobody was doing anything. It was a lockdown, really."
Yeah.
Wow. And do you guys have the resources? I'm assuming you do, but let's just talk about to actually stage that kind of a...
Oh, absolutely.
Adjusting.
Absolutely. And again, from experience in the States, I mean, we've in the States, you chase cats a little bit easier. You're not going across the country as much. But no, we had the resources. In fact, the very first thing that we did in Fort Mac was, when the day the fire was happening, was to secure 30 travel trailers and trucks, so that we went up and set up a camp before everyone was allowed back in, and we actually had to be evacuated twice from our camp, from our base camp.
Wow.
But we bring all of our own electronics for, internet access and all that kind of stuff. So we're very used to that kind of camp mentality. When you work a big CAT, you always have, a lot of people refer to it as a war room, but you've got a central base where all those adjusters are coming in every day, getting caught up with anything that may be changing in the processes.
Giving downloads of data.
Absolutely, and we've got people there helping them write the estimates so that there's some consistency in it. Mental support, answering the questions.
So you got
cats are a
inside
bit
people
unique.
working with your outside people, so they
Absolutely.
can. The outside people are doing the hands-on grunt work, and then you got people back in house doing the estimates and making sure everything matches up, and then sending it out.
Team leads helping the adjusters write the estimates. But another big part of our business is that we actually supply inside adjusters to a lot of the insurance companies. So
As overflow.
So when there's a CAT in a company, no company can afford to carry the staff that it takes to handle 1,000 claims that come in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Well, imagine 5,000 or 10,000 claims. So they recognize that we have the resources to bring them licensed adjusters that are proficient in their systems, whether they're working on Guidewire or whatever platform they're working on, that are proficient in
The general
reading
RTM,
exact
whatever it is.
Yeah, reading the estimates and exact analysis, all of that kind of stuff, understanding the policy. So that's another aspect of our business is supplying those inside adjusters. But no, we offer an A to Z approach when it comes to CAT. Some companies just use tasks or just want parts of those service. Some people want the whole program. But it's the core management of our group when we got started were all people like myself that in Florida, saw 6 years of multiple hurricanes every year.
Andrew being the big one, right?
Andrew
94,
was the game changer.
that was a game changer.
Game
And I
changer.
remember that because my wife worked for an American company based in Florida.
Ooh.
That changed everything they did as far as data management, recovery, how they worked it. I mean, they changed everything.
Changed the price of lumber in North America.
Yeah.
The way Katrina changed the price of gypsum or drywall in North America.
Yeah, it's unbelievable because my wife, we always talk, and my wife was in the industry, she's since left, but she was in the insurance industry, and I remember us having this discussion that she was going down to their office in Miami, and it was fortified for a level 5 hurricane. And I said, I don't even know what that means, honey. And she was like, it's like double walls, concrete, and automatically when they know there's a hurricane coming, they were able to flip their computer system in Miami and move it to their system in Atlanta. Everything just literally switch on a switch, and everything becomes dummy computers in their Miami office. Like, it literally changed how they handled claims. And they're massive company.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, they got quite used to those type of events in the late 90s and the early 2000s. What was very interesting, because we do a lot of that work, and the last 2 years have been extremely busy with the South Carolina event, the Florida event, and the year before Florida and Houston. What's interesting, though, is that the CAT business has been, we've actually been busier in Canada than we've been in the United States with the size and the number of catastrophes. And when we went back into Florida to do the CAT work, it was a wake-up call because it was all new management, and the people making the decisions and the people calling the shots for CAT response for the carriers. A lot of them had never experienced a hurricane or a rapid deployment or a large deployment. So it was quite interesting.
Yeah, because there was a lull for a little bit there from the last big one.
Yeah.
And then, in the last 2 years, we've had some really big ones, right?
Yeah.
Coming up the East Coast.
Yeah, last 2 years and unique events. I mean, the Houston flooding was extremely unique, and of course, flooding is handled differently in the States, being a government-run program.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Florida being one of those really weird things where there's nobody handles flood insurance except the government, right?
Yeah, the government's your only game in the States.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, yeah, no, this has been really, really enlightening. I got to tell you, I mean, I was walking by this morning and I was looking for people that I thought would be of value and entertainment and, something new. As much as when I saw you, I thought, oh, you're an adjusting company. And then when you told me, no, we're a CAT response unit, I'm like, I have to have you on my podcast. Because, I mean, people, I'm sure, unless you handle CATs on a regular basis, don't know you're out there. I didn't know you were out there, and I've been in the industry 24 years.
Well, I would hope all the insurance companies know we're out there.
Yeah, no.
We always tell them, we'd like to have a relationship before the event happens instead of the relationship starting after the event.
Because it happened, right?
Yeah. So it's
no, that's great.
But I have to tell you, we're honored and we're very proud to be in this industry, in this country. We know we offer a bit of a unique service. We never wish damage, on any property.
Sure.
But we know it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen more frequently, and we're happy to be there to jump in and help companies through those trying times.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate your time today. How do they reach you, Stan? How do they get in touch with you?
Best way is just info through CRUadjusters.com.
Info through CRUadjusters.com.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Skip, I appreciate you being on the podcast today. It was wonderful meeting you, and good luck with the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for listening to WP Radio Live. We appreciate your time and listening to the podcast, and check back in a few days as we'll have another one coming out.